My world quietly fell apart. It wasn't a storm or a shouting match or a cinematic betrayal. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when I came home early from a work trip, still smelling faintly of airport coffee and jet fuel, holding a box of Gabriel's favorite croissants because I thought surprises were romantic. The apartment was supposed to smell like home, his cologne, my candles, the faint scent of laundry. Instead, it smelled still. Not empty, just paused like a room that knew something I didn't. Gabriel, I called, pushing the door shut with my hip. My suitcase wheels clacked against the hardwood. There was a faint rustle from the bedroom. I smiled, relieved. Hey, babe, I'm back early. Meetings wrapped up faster then. I froze in the doorway. Gabriel was standing by the bed, our bed, the one we bought together after 3 years of saving and arguing about thread counts. He was folding clothes into the big suitcase, the one we'd bought for our dream Europe trip that never happened. The sound that came out of me wasn't a question so much as a warning. What are you doing? He looked up startled for half a second, then exhaled like he was annoyed. You're back early. Yeah, I said, trying to smile. Wanted to surprise you. Guess you did. He turned back to the suitcase, folding a sweater that wasn't even his favorite. His movements were too careful, too deliberate. The air in the room thickened. Are you going somewhere? He hesitated. Miranda, we need to talk. My chest tightened. Those 4 words always the prelude to heartbreak. Okay, I whispered. Then talk. He didn't stop packing, didn't even look at me. I'm moving out. I laughed instinctively. Very funny. What's going on? I've been meaning to tell you for a while, he said. The timing was never right. What do you mean moving out? Did something happen? Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm better, actually. He zipped a makeup bag mine and set it aside as if cataloging my life to discard later. I've been seeing someone. The words hit like blunt force to the chest. My mind split half denial, half comprehension. What? Her name spilled out of him like an afterthought. Lena. We met at that networking thing 4 months ago. 4 months, I repeated. You've been cheating on me for 4 months. He sighed. Don't say it like that. Like what, Gabriel? My voice cracked. Like the truth. We grew apart. You had to have felt it. I took a step closer. No, I didn't feel apart. I felt stable. I thought we were happy. I thought I stopped words falling apart like dominoes. Why didn't you talk to me? We could have. Oh my God, Miranda. He laughed sharp and disbelieving. That's so you. Always thinking you can fix everything with a conversation. Not everything needs to be analyzed. I blinked hard, trying to process the stranger in front of me. We've been together 6 years. You don't just throw that away. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm choosing something better. He finally looked up, eyes colder than I'd ever seen them. You used to be fun, Miranda. You used to laugh. Now you just plan. You've turned our life into a checklist. My throat burned. We were saving for a house. He shrugged. That's what I thought I wanted at 23. I'm 29 now. I'm not the same person. And honestly, neither are you. I stared at him. Then what are you saying? I'm saying Lena makes me feel alive again. You make me feel trapped. I felt something snap inside me, quiet and final. Trapped. I repeated, voice, barely audible. That's what I was, a trap. He zipped the suitcase. The sound cut through the silence. You'll understand one day. I don't think I will, I said softly. Because I loved you. Because I thought I stopped my voice shaking. You know what? Never mind. He grabbed the suitcase handle and rolled it toward the door. Lena's picking me up in 20 minutes. You planned this. Yeah, he said without hesitation. It's easier this way. For who? No answer. Just the sound of wheels against the floor. I followed him into the living room, the place where our memories lived. The couch we built together at midnight. The framed photo from our 5th anniversary. The coffee table with a scratch from the time we tried to dance in the dark and tripped. He stood near the door. Suitcase upright, looking at everything like it belonged to a different lifetime. I'll text you about my stuff, he said. I didn't move, didn't speak. Miranda, don't be like this. We can be adults. Adults, I whispered. You cheated, Gabriel. Adults talk before they betray. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I didn't mean for it to happen. That makes it worse. He shrugged helplessly. Goodbye, Miranda. And then he left. Through the window, I watched him walk down the steps, his phone lighting up. A silver car pulled up Lena's. She jumped out, smiling too brightly, hair catching the late sun. She kissed him before taking the suitcase. He smiled back. And that was it. 6 years gone in a single exchange like the world owed us nothing. I stood there for a long time, watching the car drive away. The air conditioner hummed softly. The clock ticked too loud. Every sound felt foreign, like my home was mocking me for believing in forever. I walked back into the bedroom. His side of the closet was empty. The faint scent of his cologne still hung there ghostly and cruel. On the nightstand sat a small Polaroid our last vacation. He had his arm around me, both of us sunburned and laughing. I stared at it until my eyes blurred. Then I placed it face down. In the mirror, I caught my reflection, same hair, same face, but I didn't recognize the woman staring back. The world hadn't exploded, the sky hadn't fallen. It was worse than that. It was quiet. I didn't scream, I whispered. I picked up my phone, opened. Our chat scrolled through the old messages. Good mornings, inside jokes, I love yous. And then, without hesitation, I hit delete thread. All gone. I turned off the lights, crawled into the cold half of the bed, and stared at the ceiling. I didn't scream. I whispered again, as if repeating it made it real. I just stopped existing for a while. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight cutting through the blinds like it had something to prove. The apartment was silent, except for the distant hum of traffic, the kind of silence that doesn't comfort, it accuses. Gabriel's side of the bed was untouched. The faint crease where he used to sleep was already fading. I sat up slowly, my body heavy with that strange kind of exhaustion that comes not from lack of sleep, but from too much thinking. My phone buzzed. Gabriel. I'll come by next week to pick up the rest of my things. I stared at the message. The audacity of it. Then I did what felt like the only act of control left to me. Block. His name vanished from the screen. So did 6 years of history. I opened Instagram, deleted our photos one by one, every vacation, every caption, with a heart emoji that now looked childish. I deactivated Facebook next. Then I went to my closet, grabbed a trash bag, and started packing everything that reminded me of him, his hoodie, the mug he loved, the half-empty bottle of cologne. I placed them in the corner, out of sight, but not out of mind. Maya showed up that afternoon with two things, a bag of takeout and a bottle of wine. She looked at the chaos in the living room and sighed. So I take it he's officially gone. I nodded and blocked. That's my girl, she said, trying to smile. Step 1 of healing digital erasure. Does that work? She shrugged. No idea, but it feels productive. We ate silently for a while. She didn't push me to talk, just sat there occasionally pouring me more wine. Eventually, she broke the silence. Miranda, do you want to crash at my place for a bit? I'll be fine. Will you? I stared at the wall where a faint shadow remained, where our framed photo had hung. I don't know, I admitted. But I can't stay still. If I stay here, I'll start wondering what he's doing, if he's with her, if he misses me. Maya reached over, squeezed my hand. You don't need to wonder. You need to leave. She was right. 2 days later, I signed the lease termination papers. The landlord, a kind, balding man named Craig, listened to my stumbling explanation and nodded. My wife did the same thing to me, he said quietly. Take the early exit, sweetheart. Don't look back. I packed systematically, almost mechanically, labels, boxes, color-coded tape. My brain needed order because my heart had none. On my last night in the apartment, I sat on the couch Gabriel and I built together. It creaked under me, familiar, but no longer comforting. I realized I'd been staring at the same blank TV screen for over an hour. When I closed my eyes, I saw his face the day he left, not sad, not conflicted, just done. The next morning, I carried my last box down to the car, left my key on the counter, and walked out. No tears, just a dull ache where the future used to be. Maya let me stay in her guest room. It smelled like lavender and laundry detergent, clean, unfamiliar, temporary. She hovered by the door that first night. I can stay with you if you want. I shook my head. I need to be alone. She hesitated, then said softly, You don't have to be brave all the time. When she left, I crawled under the covers and whispered into the darkness. Then why do I feel like if I stop being brave, I'll disappear? I didn't cry. I didn't even think. I just stared at the ceiling until dawn painted the room a weak shade of blue. Weeks passed. My life became a loop: work, gym, shower, bed. Repeat. People at the office smiled. Too kindly, spoke too softly, pity disguised as politeness. I didn't feel angry. I didn't even feel sad. I just felt blank. One evening, after everyone else had left, my boss, David, stopped by my desk. You've been quiet lately. I'm fine. He looked at me for a moment. You ever think about relocation? Relocation. He nodded. We're opening a new branch in Seattle. I need someone reliable to lead the project management team. It's a promotion full package. You'd be good at it. Seattle. Across the country. Rain, gray skies, no Gabriel, no memories. When would it start? 6 weeks. I thought about it for maybe 3 seconds. I'll do it. David smiled relieved. You sure? Yes, I said, more certain than I'd felt about anything in months. That night, I stood by Maya's kitchen window, staring at the city lights reflecting on the glass. My reflection looked unfamiliar, thinner, quieter, but somehow steadier. Maya joined me, holding 2 mugs of tea. You're really doing this, huh? Yeah. You think running away fixes things? No, I said, watching the rain start to fall. But maybe changing the view helps. She smiled sadly. Seattle's lucky to have you. I wanted to believe her. A month later, I was on a plane, watching the skyline fade beneath clouds. My whole life, everything I'd known, shrank into a cluster of lights until it disappeared completely. When the wheels touched down in Seattle, I exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. The air was cold, wet, unfamiliar. Perfect. My apartment there was small but bright white walls, big windows, rain tapping against glass. I unpacked carefully, choosing what stayed, what didn't. Every object carried a question. Does this belong in my new life? That night, I stood by the window again, watching headlights streak through the mist, and whispered to myself, maybe if I change my skyline, I can change my story. For the first time, the silence didn't hurt. It just existed, like me. I drove north until every road sign had a name I didn't know I wrote in my new journal before turning off the light. And for once, that not knowing felt like peace. By the time autumn came, I had a rhythm again. Mornings were coffee and quiet podcasts. Days were meetings and spreadsheets. Evenings were gym groceries and rain tapping on glass, while I answered emails with the calm of someone who finally stopped expecting her phone to ring. Seattle had a way of softening memories. The gray skies, the constant drizzle, it all blurred time. I liked that. The city didn't care who I used to be. Then one Friday night, my phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. Hey, can we talk? I stared at it for a full minute, my stomach tightening, with that strange mix of dread and curiosity. I didn't need to ask who it was. Some ghosts didn't need introductions. I locked my screen and went back to slicing vegetables. 5 minutes later, another ping. Unknown, I know you're getting these. Then another unknown. You could at least respond. We were together for 6 years. My knife slipped, nicking my finger. A tiny bloom of blood appeared. I rinsed it under cold water, muttering to myself, 6 years, and you threw them away in 20 minutes. I didn't reply. Not that night. Not the next day either. By the following week, Maya called. You're not going to believe who I saw. Don't tell me. Gabriel. He looks terrible. Like, missed the train and the point of his life. Terrible. He asked about you. I rolled my eyes. And you said that you're doing amazing in Seattle, and no, I'm not giving him your number. Good. She hesitated. He and Lena broke up. Not surprising. Yeah, apparently she was cheating on him with someone else from her office. I should have felt something. Vindication, satisfaction, even pity. But all I said was, huh. Maya sighed. You're really not curious. No, curiosity is how people fall back into the same traps. That night I went for a walk through the drizzle, Seattle's streetlights bleeding gold through the fog. The air smelled like rain and distance. My thoughts kept circling the same point, how easily people mistake loneliness for love. 2 weeks later, another message. Unknown. I'm sorry for everything. I made mistakes. Can we talk, please? I read it 3 times. My hand hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't type a single word. Instead, I opened my journal and wrote, they don't want you back. They want to feel forgiven so they can forgive themselves. The next morning, I changed my number. 3 months passed. I learned the smell of the sea after rain. I started climbing again, joined a photography club, found comfort in the simple act of living without explaining. Then one evening, my office phone rang. Miranda Smith speaking. Silence. Then a soft, trembling voice. Please don't hang up. My breath froze. Gabriel. I had to call your office. I told them I was your brother. I just needed to hear your voice. My pulse hammered, but I didn't hang up. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe habit. You shouldn't have done that. I know, he said quickly. I've been thinking about everything. Lena wasn't who I thought she was. She was seeing other people the whole time. She never cared. I was stupid, Miranda. I threw away something real for something fake. His voice cracked raw and familiar. I felt a flicker of something sympathy maybe, but no warmth. I'm sorry that happened to you, I said quietly. That's it? He asked, almost angry. That's all you're going to say? What do you want me to say? I want you to say you forgive me. That maybe we could start over. I hesitated, not because I didn't have an answer, but because I wanted him to feel the pause, the weight of silence he'd left me with. I can't do that. Miranda, please. I know I hurt you. I know I said awful things, but I was scared. I didn't know how to be happy without ruining it. I want to fix this. I want to fix us. I swallowed hard. Gabriel, I'm seeing someone. The silence that followed was so long I thought the line had gone dead. Then, you're what? His name's Liam. We met through work. It's been almost a year. He laughed, sharp and bitter. A year. You moved on that fast. You left me for someone you'd known 4 months. Forgive me if I didn't wait around for your remorse. That's different. No, I said firm now. It's not. You made your choice. I made mine. He was breathing hard. You can't just replace what we had, Miranda. 6 years. I'm not replacing anything. I'm building something new. You should try it. He said nothing. I could almost hear the tears he refused to shed. Finally, he whispered, She doesn't know you like I did. I almost smiled. You're right. She doesn't. Because he knows who I've become. He exhaled, broken. I still love you. I closed my eyes, then love means letting go, for both of us. And I hung up. My hands were shaking, my heart wasn't. I stared at my reflection in the dark screen of my laptop, same eyes, but steadier now. I deleted the call history, blocked the number again, and whispered to myself, Pity isn't love, and I'm done confusing the two. Outside, the rain started again, steady and soft, like applause for the person I was finally becoming. It was a Sunday morning when my phone rang again, an unknown number area code from my old city. I almost didn't answer, but something in me, that old polite reflex that hadn't fully died, made me swipe. Hello, Miranda. The voice was soft, trembling. It's Patricia, Gabriel's mom. I froze. Oh, hi, Patricia. Oh, sweetheart. She exhaled the way only mothers do when they've been holding in too many words. I hope this isn't a bad time. It's okay, what's going on? She hesitated. I just wanted to talk to you about Gabriel. My chest tightened. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, she said quickly, her voice breaking. He's not doing well. I don't recognize him anymore. He doesn't eat, doesn't sleep. He says he made a mistake, Miranda, a terrible one. You two were so good together we all thought you'd get married. Her words hit somewhere deep, not because I believed them, but because I used to. Patricia, I said gently. He left me. He told me I was a waste of his 20s. I'm just taking him at his word. He didn't mean that, she said, desperate now. You know how people say things when they're scared? He regrets it, Miranda. Please. He needs to see you, just once. I can't do that. Her tone sharpened. You can't forgive him. I already did, I said quietly. But forgiving isn't the same as returning. A silence stretched, heavy and disappointed. You've changed, she said finally, accusation hiding behind sorrow. You sound so cold. I sound like someone who finally learned where to stop giving, I replied. For a moment, I thought she might hang up. Instead, she sighed. He's not the only one who lost something. I know, I whispered. I lost something too, the version of myself that kept believing love meant endurance. She didn't respond, just said almost tenderly, Goodbye, Miranda, and hung up. That evening, the apartment felt different. The rain outside hit harder than usual. I poured myself a glass of wine, sat by the window, and stared at my reflection, a woman learning the difference between empathy and obligation. When you're a woman, people expect softness. They expect forgiveness to come easy, like it's part of your anatomy. But forgiveness without boundaries is just permission to be hurt again. I thought I was done hearing from the past. I was wrong. 3 days later, an email arrived. Subject, please read this. Just once. From Gabriel Cole. For a second, my breath caught. I considered deleting it unopened. But curiosity or closure won for once. It began with, I don't know where else to put these words. He wrote about sleepless nights, about how Lena was a mistake, about how he'd been trying to fill a void that only grew deeper. He said he missed the sound of my laugh, the way I made grocery lists, the smell of my shampoo. He said he hated the person he became after he left me. Halfway through, the tone shifted. You moved on so easily. Maybe I was right. Maybe you never loved me the way I loved you. You didn't even fight for us. You just disappeared. Maybe I was always the one who cared more. I stopped reading. He wasn't apologizing. He was rearranging guilt, turning remorse into accusation. I scrolled to the end anyway. Maybe Dylan was a mistake, but at least she made me feel alive. You made me feel safe, too safe. Predictable. I needed more. I guess I got what I deserved. There it was, the confession and the justification in the same breath. I sat in silence for a long time. The city outside my window blurred behind the drizzle lights, smearing into watercolor streaks. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a new folder on my laptop and named it Proof I Survived. Then I dragged the email inside, not as evidence against him, but as a reminder for me that love built on imbalance always tips, that sometimes the person you miss is just the story you told yourself about them. I poured another glass of wine, leaned back, and whispered to the quiet room. Forgiveness isn't reopening a door, it's closing it without slamming it. The next morning, I felt lighter. Not healed, that's too clean a word, but freer, like the pieces of me were finally rearranging into someone new. And for the first time since that night with the suitcase on the bed, I didn't wake up missing him. 2 years. That's how long it took for Gabriel to become a name I could hear without flinching. Life in Seattle had stretched around me like a new skin, not comfortable at first, but eventually mine. Work was stable, my photography had turned into something more than a hobby, and there was Liam. We'd met at a team building retreat of all places, a 3-day event filled with awkward icebreakers and forced enthusiasm. He'd spilled coffee on my presentation slides, then spent an hour helping me reprint them, apologizing every 5 minutes. He was patient, grounded, funny in that quiet way that sneaks up on you. When he asked me out, I almost said no, I wasn't ready. But he smiled, said, "That's okay. I'll ask again when you are." He did, 2 months later, and this time I said yes. Now, 2 years after Gabriel's betrayal, Liam was the man sitting beside me on a plane, headed to Hartford, my old home. My best friend from college, Rachel, was marrying her longtime boyfriend, and she'd asked me to be a bridesmaid. Liam reached across the armrest, squeezing my hand. Nervous. About the wedding or flying into my past? Both. I smiled faintly, mostly the second one. He studied me for a moment, his brown eyes calm. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone you know." "I know." He kissed my hand. "Still, I'm here, just in case." It was a small gesture, simple, steady, the kind of reassurance I used to beg for. When the plane descended, clouds giving way to the soft gold of New England fall, I realized something I wasn't afraid to go back. Not anymore. The engagement party was the night before the wedding, a blur of champagne string lights and laughter. People I hadn't seen in years hugged me, exclaimed how Seattle looks good on you. Liam charmed everyone naturally. He had that quiet confidence that made people feel safe. I was at the bar ordering drinks when I heard my name. Miranda. The voice froze me. I turned slowly. Gabriel. For a second, it was like time didn't know what to do with itself. He looked older, thinner. The easy arrogance that once defined him had dulled into something like weariness. His eyes searched mine, hopeful and haunted all at once. "Hi," I said, managing to keep my tone steady. "Wow," he breathed. "You look amazing." "Thank you," I said politely. "You too." It was a lie, but some lies are mercy. An awkward silence stretched between us. "How have you been?" he asked. "I'm good. Work's been great." He nodded slowly. "I'm okay. Better than I was." "That's good." I reached for my drinks just as he glanced across the room. "Is that Liam?" I said. "My fiancé." His expression flickered. Pained disbelief. Something sour behind his polite smile. "Fiancé. Wow. Congratulations." "Thank you. That was fast." "It's been 2 years." "Right," he murmured. "Of course." I could see him struggling to maintain composure the same way I once did. I wanted to say he began, "I'm sorry. For everything. For how I left. For what I said. You didn't deserve that." I studied him for a moment, the man I once thought I'd spend forever with, now a stranger rehearsing regret. "It's okay," I said softly. "I forgave you a long time ago." "Really?" "Yeah. But forgiveness doesn't mean I want the story again." He looked down, exhaling through his nose. "Right. Of course." Liam appeared. Then smiling as he set a hand gently on my back. "Hey, everything okay here?" I smiled. "Yeah. Gabriel, this is Liam." Gabriel extended a hand. "Nice to meet you." Liam shook it firmly, friendly but grounded. "You too." The tension was almost visible, two versions of my past and present standing side by side. "Congratulations," Gabriel said again. "You two seem really happy." "We are," I replied. Gabriel nodded once, his smile brittle. "Good. That's good." I could tell he wanted to say more, but Liam squeezed my shoulder lightly. "We should get back. Rachel's about to do the toast." "Of course," I said. "Good to see you, Gabriel." He swallowed hard. "You too, Miranda." As we walked away, I felt his gaze follow us. I didn't turn around. Later that night in the hotel room, Liam brushed my hair back as I sat by the window, looking out at the faint glow of the city. "That was him, wasn't it?" he asked gently. "Yeah. He still loves you." I sighed. "Probably. But that's not my problem anymore." He smiled faintly. Does it feel good to know he regrets it? I thought about that for a long moment. No, it just feels sad. For him, but not for me. Liam leaned forward, pressing his forehead against mine. Good, because you're not going anywhere. I smiled not because I was proving anything, but because for once I didn't have to. He didn't look at me like a prize he'd won. He looked at me like a person he'd chosen and who chose him back every day without effort or fear. At the wedding the next day, the music swelled. The bride walked down the aisle, and I caught sight of Gabriel sitting across the room on the groom's side. His gaze flickered toward me once, then away. I didn't feel anger or nostalgia, just peace. When the reception started, I danced with Liam, laughed with Rachel, and gave a speech about love not being about grand gestures, but about staying when things get quiet. People cheered. Liam kissed me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Gabriel watching, not jealous, not furious, just realizing that he'd traded something genuine for something loud, and now the noise was gone. But I didn't gloat. I didn't even smile his way. Because closure doesn't come from proving someone wrong. It comes from realizing you don't need to. I forgave him for both of us, I whispered later that night, resting my head against Liam's shoulder. But I walked away for me. The wedding ended the way all good nights do, with laughter, dimmed lights, and songs that blurred the line between joy and nostalgia. By the time the last dance began, my feet ached, and my heart felt full in the simplest way, calm, quiet, present. Liam had gone to help Rachel with the cleanup, and I stepped outside for air. The autumn wind was cool against my face, carrying the faint scent of champagne and roses. The night sky over Hartford was black velvet broken by scattered stars. That's when I heard it, my name. Miranda. I turned. Gabriel stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets. Tuck's jacket, unbuttoned tie loosened like a man still trying to pretend he had it together. His eyes were tired, raw. I just need 1 minute, he said. I didn't move. You've had 6 years and one heartbreak's worth of minutes, Gabriel. What could possibly take one more? He gave a humorless laugh. Fair, but please, just hear me out. I sighed and folded my arms. 1 minute. He stepped closer, the gravel crunching beneath his shoes. I know I don't deserve to talk to you. I know I said unforgivable things. But you have to understand, when I left, I wasn't just running from you. I was running from myself. From the version of me that couldn't handle real. I said nothing. The wind caught my hair, brushing it across my face. Lena was chaos, he continued. Excitement. Noise. I thought that's what I needed. You were order. Safety. You made me want to be better, but I was too young, too selfish. And when things got too real, I panicked. I stared at him, studying the tremor in his jaw, the way his eyes darted like he couldn't bear to meet mine for long. You sound like someone who's been rehearsing this speech for years. Maybe I have, he admitted, because I wake up every day wishing I could undo it. You were the best thing in my life, Miranda, and I threw it away for nothing. His voice cracked, and for a fleeting second I saw the boy I once loved, the one who held my hand in the grocery store line, who made pancakes on Sundays, who used to dance with me barefoot in the kitchen. But that boy didn't exist anymore, and neither did the version of me who needed him. Gabriel, I said softly, you're sorry now because your life hurts. That's not the same as missing me. That's missing peace. He flinched like the words cut deeper than I meant them to. I don't care what it is. I just know I can't stop thinking about you. That's because you never faced what you did, I replied. You ran from me, then you ran from her. Now you're standing here hoping I'll save you from yourself again. He took a step closer, desperation creeping into his voice. What if you were it? What if there's no one else who will ever know me the way you did? Then you'll have to learn to live with that, I said quietly. Because loving someone doesn't mean you get to ruin them and ask for another try. He swallowed hard. I can't accept that it's really over. It's been over for 2 years, I said. You're the only one who hasn't accepted it. His eyes filled. Because I still love you. I held his gaze. No, Gabriel. You love the security I gave you. You love not having to sit with your own regret. You love the idea that somewhere I'm still waiting. That's not fair, he said weakly. None of it was fair, I said, my voice steady. Not the way you left. Not the words you said. Not the way you made me feel small for loving you too much. But life isn't about fair, is it? He looked down. You really don't think about me anymore. I thought about that for a long beat, then smiled faintly. I think about the girl who begged you to stay. I think about how much I pitied her. And then I remember that I'm not her anymore. Behind me, the door opened, and Liam's voice carried softly through the cool air. Hey, you okay out here? I turned slightly. Yeah. Just finishing a conversation. He came over, sliding an arm around me. Jake's about to cut the cake. Gabriel's eyes flicked to Liam's hand on my back, the quiet intimacy of it, the effortless ease. He exhaled, shoulders sinking. She'll never know you like I did, he said finally, almost whispering. You're right, I replied, because he knows who I became after you. Gabriel's eyes glistened. I don't know how to move on. Start by forgiving yourself, I said softly, and then stop confusing my forgiveness with an invitation. He nodded slowly, defeated. Goodbye, Miranda. Goodbye, Gabriel. I turned, walking toward the glow of the reception hall. Liam held the door open for me. I didn't look back. Inside, laughter and music swelled again. The world moving on exactly as it should. Liam handed me a slice of cake and brushed a stray tear from my cheek. You sure you're okay? He asked. I smiled. Yeah, I said. And I mean it this time. We joined the others at the table, candles flickering, friends laughing, love alive in the air. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of Gabriel standing alone in the dark courtyard. For a brief moment, I hoped he'd find peace, not because I owed it to him, but because I was finally free enough to wish it. I leaned into Liam's shoulder. You know, I said quietly, he thought I was his story. Liam looked down at me. What are you then? I smiled. His consequence. He laughed softly. And me. My story, I said. The one I chose. The one I keep choosing. The band started another song, slow, gentle, the kind meant for people who'd survived enough to deserve stillness. Liam stood and offered his hand. Dance with me. I took it. As we swayed under the dim light, the world outside blurred. For once there was no past clawing at the edges of my peace, no unfinished story, no ache pretending to be love. Just this moment, this choice, this life. And when I looked up at Liam, I realized something I'd never understood before. The best revenge isn't being missed.